Hello, everyone. Welcome to our online discussion. Today, I'm excited to have each of you here and to embark on this learning journey together. And if you look into the today's um, topic, we are going to have a discussion on odd one out context, or odd one out question types. Well, for those hello, everyone. Welcome to our online discussion. Well, the purpose of the today's discussion is all about the odd one out question types, and mm, the objective of the discussion is to how to tackle such kind of a question types. So when you find out this odd one out question types, generally comes with five of the sentences, and out of that, we need to find out four of the statements referring to the one family, and the fifth one would be the irrelevant one. Maybe five of them belongs to one of the family, and the option which one is the odd one maybe have a different theme or different ideas or different uh, thoughts, isn't it? So on the basis of that, we are going to discuss, um, and the most important part is called as this kind of a question types where students probably uh, find out the option which one is the odd one out, like without making a kind of a sequence. Let me point out, um, when you are going for the odd one out question types, haphazardly collecting or means identifying odd one out may bring you with the wrong option. Then what will be the process to get the odd one out? You can get the odd one out after making a kind of a sequence, because that will give you 100% accuracy. Because once your sequence is correct, automatically you draw that the odd one out is different. Why and how? Isn't it? Okay. So for that reason, I have come with one of the example here. So, and I'll follow the process, like first I'll make the sequence and then after I'll proceed for the odd one out. Listen actively to this particular discussion and see that how it is done. So obviously means you can feel free to ask questions and seek clarifications if you want. You can give your comments at the end of it, at the end of the video. But at least try to observe and also see that how the odd one out question type is done, right? Disagree respectfully and provide your constructive feedback, no issue, right or not? Now, uh, as we delve into our discussion on this particular topic, I encourage each of you to share your initial thoughts on this specific topic. What are your expectations for this discussion, and what do you hope to learn or explore further? So, remember, your active participation in this discussion is um, crucial to our collective learning experience. Please contribute your thoughts. Okay, so fine, let's move to the topic. Uh, so, what the direction states here? The direction states here that five statements are given below, and which are labeled with A, B, C, D, and E. Among these, four statements are what? In logical order and form a coherent paragraph or passage. From the given options, choose the option that does not fit into the theme of the passage. Well, so like I pointed, we need to go for the um, odd one out answer. So let's go and read all these statements and will try to identify how four of the options are different from the fifth one, or called as how out of this fifth of the five statements, one is odd from the others. Let's look into the first one. The first one stated most of the actors work as laborers under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Government Scheme, which is known as a MGNREGS. So now this statement stated about what? Actors work as laborers under the government scheme, which is called as a MGNREGS. Now, look into the second statement. What the second statement stated? I myself live in a rented house since we can't live in my own. Now, understand the difference between A and option B. What is that? Option A stated about most of the actors work as laborers under the MGNREGS. But option B stated means some maybe the speaker or maybe someone else who is telling his problem by stating that what means I myself live in a rented house since we can't live in my own, right? So option C stated what? Option C stated uh, life is miserable out there with the houses that are either abandoned or about to crumble. Now, this one could be called as a thought of option B, right? Where when you say that I myself live in a rented house since we can't live in my own, and option C is called as a life is very sad or called as a pathetic. So where you don't have the house or called as your house is about to crumble or means broken. So option D stated that, but since, look into the indicator, contrast indicator, but, so since we had to show what we are going through, we would be in tears as we said the dialogue, right? Now here we can find out this option probably referring to the option B or option C. Why? Because option D is stated we had to show what we are going through. So what they are going through? Now they are going through called as life is miserable for them. So why their life is miserable? You could say that they live in a kind of a place, isn't it? So that could be called as a kind of a pathetic situation for them, isn't it? So next is called as a we had no clue about what we had to do, right? Now, if you observe that in these option E, option D, option C, option B are stating a kind of a thought, like let's say that in option E, you find out the word called as a we, and in option D also stated about we are going through. So we had no clue about what we had to do. So it means so whoever here referred to we is also referring we in option D, isn't it? So, and what kind of a problem they are going through is given in a C, that called as a life is miserable for them. How their life is miserable? Because their kind of a living condition is given in option B. So, if we elaborate this these sentences, what do we find out? So, the statement can be form a coherent passage with a theme that we can draw is nothing but called as a the challenges faced by group of people, and their challenges are nothing but their living conditions, isn't it? So if we consider that which one will be the introducing part, so we cannot go with option B or sorry option D because it begins with but at the same time we also say that we also cannot ignore that any sentence in the jumbled sentences or jumbled question can begin with. So in that case, option D could be beginning But here, looking at the other options, we consider option D would be not the introducing sentence. We can say I, life, we can be a beginning sentence, or most of the actors. So if you look into that, who is we refer to? Can it be called as actors? Probably or possibly. But as we are dealing with the odd one out question types, then we need to see that option B, C, D, E are stating about a group of people who are narrating their problems and difficulties. And out of them, one is stating about his or her conditions. And that's what is pointed in a B, C, D, E. Option A is simply stating about that there are actors, and among them, most of the actors are working as a laborer under the government scheme called as MGNREGS. So we considered that option A could be the odd one out, right? But let's see that how A will be the odd one out and how EDCB or BCDE make a kind of a sequence. Now, statement B starting with I is not the appropriate way to begin, because you start with the group of people, and then after you, out of the group of people, you take one and you discuss about them or discuss about his or her condition. So in that case, if we look into the option E, we had no clue about what we had to do. Why did a group of people say such kind of a thing? So because they do have a kind of a condition, isn't it? So why, if you look into the option C could be the beginning of it. Why? Because it makes a kind of a generic statement. Life is miserable out there, with houses that are either abandoned or about to crumble. So in that case, we consider option E and C. Out of these two, one could be the beginning sentence. Let's look into the option E. Anyhow, we need to take one, and then after we need to connect with the other. So statement E sets the context that the individual had no idea. The statement E sets the context that what individual had no idea about what he or she was supposed to do, or called as a, if you talk about we had no clue about what we had to do, it means referring to the anyone is stating that, right or not? So, and he or she is telling about we had no clue about what we had to do. So statement D follows by explaining that despite not knowing what to do, they had to portray their difficult situations, leading to emotional responses and tears. That is what given in option D when it is stated. But since we had to show what we are going through, we would be in tears, as we said the dialogue. Therefore, you can connect that option E with the D, that the first one stated about means the context about an individual and a group of individuals, right? Second, it follows to D by explaining that what now these individuals not knowing what to do, despite but they had to portray their difficult situation, or they had to uh, live under that situation. So with tears, as we said, the dialogue. So statement C is indicating, provides further details about the challenging living conditions. So that those individuals made a kind of a statement, life is miserable out there with the houses that are either abandoned or about to crumble. Now this leading to, you can consider that challenging living conditions, specifically the dismal state of houses that are either abandoned or on the verge of crumbling. That is what option C stated. Now, if you look into the statement B, connects with the theme of difficult living condition by mentioning. So one of the speaker who is referring as we, stating his or her personal experience of living in a rented house due to the inability to live in their own house. Now, in that case, we consider that option E, D, sorry, yeah, option E, D, then after C and B would be a kind of a sequence which is indicating about means some means maybe a group of individuals who present their problems, right? And one is narrating that how living in a rented house as they don't have their own, isn't it? But if you look into the statement A, that introduces the broader context that most of these individuals, maybe it is called as a one family, all these 5 sentences belong to one family. So could be called as a what? Most of these individuals referred to as actors are actually working as laborers under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Government Scheme, MGNREGS. So we could make an odd one out. So we can find out that these are nothing but called as a dialogues, which have been pointed by the narrator on behalf of means all these individuals, whereas option A is indicating that means what do they do and where do they do, right? So means where do they work? So it is stated in option A, most of the actors work as laborers under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Government Scheme. So therefore, the answer to this particular question will be the option A, which is the odd one out. So option A, which is the odd one out. Whereas the sequence is indicating here EDCB, indicating about the experience of the narrator about the workers, right? About the means actors, so who have pointed their viewpoint, right? So in that case, the sequence should be EDCB, and the option is A, that is the odd one out. I hope you understood this. The answer choice is given here, option A. Thank you.